Hello and welcome to the daily study of the Way of Mastery. Today we continue with Lesson 1, The Way That Calls You Home, Section 2, The First Step in Awakening. And we're going to look at start with paragraph 11, and just to give you a recap, in paragraph 10 in our last episode, it ends with Jeshua talking about how the voice of the father or the mother guides your personality, your emotions, your body to the places, events, and people and experiences through which the atonement, the at-one-ment, is being woven, through which all of the children of God are called home again. So it's this idea of allowing, of surrendering, of being guided, of being led, and trusting that. So in paragraph 11, Jeshua says, you trust the complete flow of that, whether you're asked to give a speech in front of 10,000 people, or you're asked to tell a friend the truth of your feelings, or whether or not you are asked to sweep the streets and live penniless. For in truth, that mind that trusts the source of its creation allows all things, trusts all things, embraces all things, and transcends all things. So the idea here is trust. You're trusting the flow of wherever you are being led by Spirit, by the Father. If it's a speech in front of 10,000 people, if it's telling the friend the truth of your feelings, or whether you're asked to sweep the streets and live penniless, I think it's in A Course in Miracles, Jeshua says, just say yes. Say yes. That you're being guided, that you're being led, that there's a reason for you to be there, that it's for the highest good, meaning for your own awakening as well as the awakening of others. But how hard is it, obviously, right, for our ego? All the doubt, all the fear, all the worry. What do they think about me? All the people pleasing. That's just all sourced from this idea of separation, not enough, lack, all the greatest hits of the ego. And Jeshua says, for in truth, that mind that trusts the source of its creation allows all things, trusts all things. And this is how Jeshua defines love later in this text: allowing all things, trusting all things, embracing all things, and transcending all things. And how often do we not do that? How often do we fight? Do we resist? Do we argue with life? Because we think it should be a different way. It should look a different way. Things shouldn't be happening, or they should be happening and they're not, right? We are trying to be the maker and the doer. And then in paragraph 12, Jeshua says, rest assured whenever you feel frustration and anxiety. And I love these words like whenever, meaning like anytime, no matter when you're feeling frustration and anxiety, it is because you have decided not to trust the truth. And the truth is simply this: only God's plan for salvation can work for you. So anytime you're feeling frustrated or have anxiety, it's because you're not trusting the truth. You're not trusting that the divine, that God's source is with you, is supporting you, is loving you, that you are safe. And again, for the ego, that's really hard to trust because it's not of the senses. It's like, what am I trusting in exactly here? And I know for some people, like, that word salvation can be a charged word because of all the history behind it, all this idea that there's a savior out there that's going to save you from feeling not enough. And we know that's not true. We know that it's within you. So only God's plan, only the divine intelligence and love of the source of your creator can work for you. And Jeshua follows this up in 13 with, your way must always fail. For your way begins with the illusory and insane assumption that you are a separate being from the mind of God and must therefore direct your own course. For if you are sick and diseased and not at peace, why would you decide that you know how to create peace? It requires great humility to accept the first step of the path. I have done all this. I must undo it. But I have no idea how I did this. Therefore, I must surrender to something else. Again, Jeshua with some strong language. Your way must always fail. And our ego doesn't like this, but when we're identified with the ego, the belief that you are a separate being from God, of course it's going to fail because it's based in falsehood. And so as we rest into the truth that we are one with the mind of God and guided by the mind of God, and we are an instrument of the mind of God, of love, of source, then we are directed. We don't direct our own course. It's like that Einstein quote, the consciousness that created the problem cannot solve the problem. You need a higher consciousness than the one that created the problem. It's just another way of saying this. The consciousness that created the ego, just the tiny mad idea that somehow you did the impossible and separated from source, that consciousness that creates everything of the illusory false world, everything is a projection of that thought, is not lasting, is not true, is not real. And so we are being invited slowly, lovingly by Jeshua in this text, in these teachings, to wake up to what already is, the truth of our nature, of our essence. We can't separate our essence from what we are because we're created in it. It's like if you make a clay pot, you can't say that the pot's not clay. You can't say it's metal, it's clay. You can't separate the clay from the pot. It is of that. And that's the same as us. So a beautiful passage here by Jeshua, and this great humility to accept the first step. Great humility that I did this. I don't know how to undo it. If I knew how to undo it, I would have done it already. So I must surrender to something else. And again, this scares the crap out of our ego because it's like, what's the something else? Am I safe? And so it goes into all this fear and worry and untrustworthiness, suspicion. At least my ego does. So, and that's like, we don't have to judge that. That's what it does. So getting mad at the ego for being what it is like getting mad at a mosquito for being a mosquito. That's what it does. It's a mosquito. Don't get mad at it. Like, accept it and make a different choice. You don't have to like, that's why this whole world has been created, according to A Course in the Way of Mastery, is we've focused so much on the tiny mad idea. We've taken it so seriously, and then it's created this outpicturing in this world. And when we go within and we connect to truth, we don't have to argue with the ego. We just see it for what it is. We don't have to make it our friend or our enemy. We're just like, oh, there it is. It's that belief in separation. And when I'm focused on that, I feel a certain way, and my energy goes low, and my vibration goes low, and my experience is not very fun. So this whole thing is about making a different choice. That's empowering. So great message from Jeshua here. And we are just chugging through this first lesson. Thanks for listening. I love you. If you get value from this, I guess like, subscribe, share with somebody, leave a review, and we'll see you tomorrow.